Thank you, all the teams, for coming. We've got the Middletown Middies here, and we'll get right into it with Coach Troy Everhart. Coach, I didn't see a lot of smiles when I asked you those last two questions, but if I could just start with the one game I saw with you guys last year. One of the best games I saw of last year, not to mention the Sycamore Elder game. Somehow I picked two games that neither team won, but either way, Coach, a fantastic game. But it kind of led to a fall-off in the season. Obviously, first of all, as I just asked you, you lost one of your top players, a wide receiver in that game. Do you take anything from that game? One, a letdown from such a close game, and St. X wasn't great last year, barely lost to Colerain, who went undefeated. So I know we're playing an A plus B plus C kind of equation there, but you barely lost to a team that barely lost to an undefeated team. How do you take such a close game that led kind of to an unraveling, obviously lost a player as well, but then the season just kind of slipped away from you? Do you learn anything from that as a coach? I mean, obviously a ton of experience that you've got. What do you take from the way the season unfolded, from such promise on the 3-yard line, about to win a great game and go on to possibly a playoff-looking season? So what ends up happening?
Well, I think the biggest thing we took away as the staff was the fact that we've still got a long way to go to get ourselves in these big-time situations. As I mention all the time with our guys, you know, we're going to play in these big opportunity games, these big venue games. You know, they put some tremendous efforts back-to-back at Nipper. They ended 11 with Moeller, and then they played in 12 with St. X. And in both games, they had over 500 yards of offense and put a lot of points in there. But what they're going to have to start learning is the games are in the trenches and the games are on defense, and they're going to continue to play harder. As far as a program standpoint, you know, again, we've upgraded the schedule significantly. Now we need to upgrade our work ethic.
Coach, you talk about 11. Let's go back 2 years quickly. A 10-2 season as your first year at Middleton. Do you think at that point, okay, I've arrived, this is going to be easy? Or are you thinking constantly you've got to keep building? I mean, obviously you know that it just doesn't get handed to you. But at a program with a lot of history, certainly looking at some of the names of players from Middleton now in BCS schools, how do you try to both feed off of a year like you had, 10-2 and 11, but still drive your players?
Well, I think what I saw in 11, which was great, was a senior-driven, senior-led team. The weight room was senior-led for almost 2 months in between myself and the previous coach. There was a high standard in the locker room. I dealt with very few off-the-field issues. I say it all the time, regardless of what programs I've run, if you have a team that is player-driven, you are going to be very successful. When you, the coach, are now the babysitter, you are not going to be successful. And what Middletown has been lacking is continuity. We go through coaches like most people go through socks. So we're hoping that through our tenure here, we can build what we built at the last place.
Coach, you talk about senior leadership. Going to rely a lot on the sophomores and juniors as we look at the guys up here this year. You've got 2 juniors already that kind of leading your team up here. How do you get those guys to understand that even though it's not your last season here, it is somebody's last season and it might be your last chance?
I think it's hard to get that across to kids, especially because you never know when the injury bug's going to come. You never know when you're going to lose an opportunity or think that. You know, I've had a reporter tell me one time when they didn't select a previous player for all conference that we'll have another chance next year, and it didn't come. I think what we have to continue to send the message is it's not about your opponent, it's not about what day it is or what grade you're in, but it's about the process of you being the best you can be on that particular day. I will tell you that we may be small in number in the senior class, but when they're on, that is as good a group of leaders as I've had.
Coach, going back to history before you were at Middletown, just elected into the Hall of Fame, Chris Carter, an alumni of the school. Is there anything that you take from that to tell your kids, look, this is what can happen from here? Or is that something that you just kind of brush aside and say, that was one guy and that's not a part of our program? How do you embrace something like that without making too much of it?
We embrace all of our history. It's tremendous. We're on our 102nd year of football. Our stadium is unique in so many ways. We're getting turf on it, so we're embracing the old and the new. And that's a great metaphor for that. You know, an old stadium built in the 50s, bond issue passed, by the community just to build a stadium. You got communities now can't pass bond issues to fund their schools. They just built a stadium. So we're embracing the old and the new. That's a great way. But the biggest thing we're trying to do is Middletown's always been known for talent athletically. We're trying to get that football team mentality that they had in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, early 70s. But from the mid-70s on, it became more of an individual thing. We're trying to still emphasize, the accomplishments of the individual, but not with forsaking the team.
Well, Coach, let's embrace the 2013 team. If you would, just introduce us to your players here, and then we'll talk to them all individually.
It's always best when they introduce themselves, so I'll just start down here and go the other way.
Kyle Jr.
Kevin Henry.
Alex Weineke.
Chance Sorrell. Yvonte Glover.
Yvonte, hold on to that. We'll start with you. All right, Yvonte Glover, a.k.a. Tag, has got the mic, so we'll start down there. And first of all, going to be a junior running back. Decent stats, though, from the year before. 700-plus yards running, not bad at all for really anybody in just 10 games, not to mention a younger guy. Talk about we talked to Coach a little bit about the fact that not everybody has a chance there last year. Everybody's got to make a moment when they can. How do you do that this year? And obviously do what you can for the guys here that are on their last run.
This year, I put in more work than I have in any previous season that I've had. Mainly for these guys up here because I know it's their last chance. I still have another year to get however many yards I can get. And the year before I got a lot of playing time in because as a freshman I seen the field and I think what it was like to play varsity.
So having seen really both sides of the coin, I think you've got to understand that it is these guys' last chance, and even if it's not yours, maybe this is your best chance. Now I have to say, just because I'm jealous, don't cut that hair, because when it stops growing, it doesn't come back. I used to have, not hair like that, but close. I miss it. I'm jealous. Now let me ask you this. Offensive line dictates what you do. I mean, yeah, you can make plays on your own, given play. Maybe you bust one for 90 on a broken tackle. But how do you develop that relationship with the guys up front? And just really, it's 6 guys or 7 if you want the tight end, fullback, whoever. But it's one unit. How do you become one with those guys?
My offensive line actually are my favorite players on the whole field. And after every play, no matter what I do, I thank them for blocking for me. I know they probably have the hardest job out of everybody. Not everybody wants to be offensive lineman. You see a lot of people that want to be a running back or a wide receiver, but they would rather block for me. And I really appreciate that.
Well, you better make sure you remember that when you're celebrating those touchdowns. You celebrate with them, too. All right, Yvonte, let's go with Chance Sorrell. Tight end, verbally committed to Vanderbilt.
Yes, sir.
That means not only you're a good football player, but you're a smart guy, too.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit?
Yes, sir.
That's not a stupid answer right there. That's covering your bases. Not a bad crowd we have here, Duke, Columbia, and Vanderbilt. There's some smart guys in this room. I'm jealous.
Yes, sir.
Tight end position. 2 catches last year. Does that make you a blocking tight end, a pass-catching tight end, or just take your chances when you get it?
Really, it's just taking chances when I can get them, but really just wherever coach needs me, wherever he wants me, wherever the team needs me. I'm willing to play anything. This year, I'll play a little bit of defensive end for the team, even maybe play a little bit of tackle for the team, but just anything that the team needs, I'm there for them. And anything that would help the team get better and be our best is wherever I'll play.
So it sounds like you've already embraced the senior leadership role quite a bit, saying you'll do whatever it takes. Certainly, you're looking forward to making the most of your last year.
Yes, sir. I just want to get out there and play and have a winning season, make the playoffs again, and hopefully go 15 weeks.
15 weeks, indeed. Let me ask you, why Vanderbilt? I'm sure if you're given an opportunity to play in the SEC, it wasn't the only school that asked you to play. Why you pick them?
Vanderbilt, of course, you just said it, SEC, but also top 20 academically. Last year they had a top 20 recruiting class, and then they finished in the top 20 in the country. And the only other school to do that is Notre Dame. And I know it's really hard to get into Vanderbilt, and of course I want to play at the next level after college, but none of it's guaranteed. And So I figured the best route for me is if I get a Vanderbilt degree, that's going to mean something to all kinds of jobs and that kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a degree from Vanderbilt, football or not afterwards, gives you tons of opportunities. If it's not the NFL, what is it for you? Do you have a major plan? Do you know what you want to do after that?
Right now, I'm thinking kinesiology, major in kinesiology. Really just, and there's so many routes I can take with that, so it's a pretty general major. I could even go from a coaching point of view, just go in there and really focus on coaching, or I could take even get a doctorate in that degree and maybe become a physical therapist or a physical trainer and that kind of thing.
Okay, I was about to ask you what kinesiology means. I think I might have figured it out then.
Yeah, it's the technical term is the study of human motion. So it's really sports related, and I've always grown up around sports, always played a lot of sports, and really just love sports in general and always want to be around them.
Well, best of luck to you. Hopefully it's not 10 more games, but like you said, 15 in Middletown. We'll go next over to Alex Weineke. Alex, on the offensive well, what position are you at?
I'm an offensive tackle.
Okay, not an offensive lineman. I like specifics. Offensive tackle. You play the front side or the back side?
I'm typically the backside, but just kind of pass play to play.
Okay, so you specialize more in pass blocking, and you just do whatever you're asked to do?
Well, I don't think Coach would agree that I specialize in pass blocking. Just do what I got to do.
All right, now I asked Javonte's point of view. I'll ask yours. Coming together with him as a running back and becoming one, knowing how quick he's going to hit the hole, whether or not he's going to hit your inside hip or the guard's outside hip. How much of that knowledge do you have to have, or do you just try to make contact and let him do the rest?
Well, I mean, our offense, everyone's got a specific job, and we're going to work on doing those jobs every single play. Our knowledge is really one of our strong points. When we learn the offense, that's how we're going to be successful.
Now, I hate to say that there is no such thing as a dumb lineman, since I didn't know what kinesiology is, but I do feel like you got to be smart to play on the offensive line. That is really a mistaken thought, because you have to know which way to slide. You have to know which way to block. You have to know which guy to get off of a combo block. How is learning all those nuances over there at the left tackle?
I mean, I just do what I'm coached to do. The coaches are pretty good teachers. I mean, it's just we do what we're coached to do. I mean,
Clearly, you guys heard the coach talk about not babysitting, and you are giving good coach answers. So we'll move over to the defensive side of the ball. We've got Kevin Henry. Kevin, give us your position breakdown. Let us know what you're all about.
I played middle linebacker. I'm a 3-year starter. I played offensive line my sophomore year, and I jumped back up to linebacker my sophomore year. Yeah.
So playing on the offensive line, that's got to be a huge benefit for you as a middle linebacker, knowing how those guys are going to attack you, maybe seeing that first step from the uncovered guard, knowing he's coming after you maybe just a hair quicker than the next middle linebacker.
Yes, sir.
Now, you're kind of the quarterback of the defense. When you play the middle linebacker, you got to have guys in position, got to call the plays. So not only do you have to be a leader by being the guy in the middle, making the tackle, getting to the spot, but you got to be that mental leader. You got to be that emotional leader as well out there.
Yes, sir. Another thing our coaches tell us, if a bad play happens, we can't let it get to us. We got to pick them up and play the next down. Because if we're going to let it get to us, that's how the game's going to be controlled. So we got to pick them back up and just lead our team.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes the biggest thing is getting over that mistake. Nobody wins 100% of the plays in the game. You're going to get blocked, but like I say, you got to get over it. And talk about guiding that defense. I mean, you've got to go side to side. You've got to be everywhere on the field. So you go from an offensive line position your sophomore year, guys that aren't necessarily as quick, to now you got to be that guy who can't really be overweight. You got to get everywhere. You got to be everywhere. What's that like to happen to really control sideline to sideline?
Well, I love hitting people. That's why I play football. That's why I play defense. I love my teammates. We come out every day to get better. Team D is just awesome. I love the coaching staff. My linebacker coach is amazing. He comes out every day to get us better. Love playing with this guy next to me. He's just a monster. Just every day comes to get better. Just like him, man.
Well, I think everybody out here likes to hit, or they wouldn't be. They'd be playing a different fall sport.
Yes, sir.
Let's go lastly over there to Kyle Jr. Kyle, not a bad year as a junior, 24 tackles, half a sack. Even got, as a sophomore, to be junior, even got some PT as a freshman. That's big shoes getting PT as a freshman at Middletown, right?
Yeah, it's a real big thing. Middletown has a history of great players, many categories.
And I just told you I wouldn't forget that you're a junior because it's your name, and then I just said you had a good year as a junior, so I'm not doing so good. Not proving the dumb lineman thing wrong. Kyle, talk about playing out on the defensive line. I mean, you gotta be quick to get to the backfield, make that sack, but you also gotta have the strength to hold off an offensive lineman if they're running at you. I mean, it's a real versatile position. You gotta be big, strong, and fast. You gotta have all the bases covered. How do you take care of yourself to get that way?
I really just work on my technique a lot. I'm really big on technique. I'm a technician. I look to my coaches for what I do wrong, what I need to improve on. I look to my other defensive linemen. If they have a move that I like, that they do well, I'll take it. Use it for myself.
So what do you use? The rip move? What do you, spin move, swim move, bull rush?
I love the spin move.
The spin move.
Spin
right.
move and bull rush all the time.
Usually you don't find a guy that likes the spin move and the bull rush. Usually a big guy likes the bull rush, quick guy likes the spin move.
Yeah, I love mixing it up. I don't want to be predictable. I don't want a lineman to think that, oh, well, he's a faster dude, so I'm just going to press out more. I can go both ways.
And now, like I asked Javante on the other side, as a junior, this may be your best opportunity. You don't know what next year has. You don't know if you get hurt. You know, hopefully we don't see that. But you don't know if the next year's class just doesn't fit the bill. How do you look at this year, knowing that, yeah, I've got another season, but maybe this is the year?
Well, I just use my talents in any way. I mean, I use any opportunity to make it my best. So I just work with the guys I have. I adjust to what they do. And this is a great team. I just love playing with this team. The defense is all fired up. The offense can move the ball. We have so many weapons on this team, and I'm just grateful to be a part of it.
Well, here's the Middletown Middies, and Coach, don't think I didn't notice from Middletown to Middletown. Sometimes us Northern Kentucky guys just don't know our geography all that well. But you have clearly put some emphasis on not being a babysitter, and I can see the attitude in these guys. I mean, it's clear that they know what you're looking for from them, and they're here to show.
They've done a tremendous job in the offseason. You know, we had a great first week of practice. We got to pick it up this week. Tomorrow's a good day in our count. So, you know, sometimes when the game gets big, people get small. But at Middletown, we like to think that the guys in purple stand tall. So we'll see what happens.
Well, Coach Everhart, hopefully I see you again next year. Hopefully when I talk about one of the best football games of 2013, you can smile and tell me how you won that game. But either way, it's been great to have you guys here. Really appreciate you guys coming out. We're going to go ahead and wrap it up here, guys, from Eli's Sports Bar. I want to say thank you to Kayla, Nick, of course, Greg, all the teams for coming out. Thank you so much. Thank you to Eli's. And, of course, we have to let you all know, don't forget about us on our social media sites. Twitter, TS Football. On Facebook, TS Football. Look us up on YouTube, Instagram, Flickr. And also, don't forget about our Cincinnati Children's Sports Medicine High School football tonight. It's going to be simulcast on 1360 and 1530. Every Friday night, we'll have a pregame show, and then we'll also have a postgame show. Follow us there. Support U.S. Marines Backyard Battle as well. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming out here. It's been our neighborhood preview show, and hopefully we'll see a bunch of you guys at our postseason show and giving some awards to some of y'all.